This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together, we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a Weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Well, my brain's a bit fried.
Yeah, I suppose there's quite a bit of information going on here.
Yes.
Even though I've got like some of these terms I'm not quite sure. And oh no, don't talk about the ego and the id. I've never can't remember what field that is. Psychology? It's psychology, isn't it? And I'm like, oh, I barely get psychology and theology. It's not my forte.
Well, with this lockdown, my sleep patterns are out of whack, and whereas I would normally be getting up about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm now sleeping through till 9. And because we said, I know. Well, it doesn't help that 2 days ago I was up until 4 in the morning because life. Yeah, so getting up at 8:30 in the morning to then go straight into watching this kind of wigs your brain out a bit.
Oh goodness, yeah. See, I watched 4 episodes of Nailed It and then went into Ava. So I was just like, derp, 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 cake, derp, 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 cake. Oh, yes. I don't know anything about psychology, really. I know a little bit about ego and id and consciousness, but some of these terms they're using, I'm like, oh dear, oh well.
It took me an hour to watch one episode, and I wrote 7 notes on it because there's just so much happening now. It's just, I thought it started really slow and lovely, and I was like, oh yeah, I can write notes. I'll get this done in no time. And then part 2 happened, and
yeah,
I've never written so fast. I was just like, so much to keep up. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, we have watched episode 19 of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it's all getting a bit wild. All the things are happening, and all the build-up is finally starting to explode. And This episode was. So let's jump into it. Oh, before we do jump into it, I have 2 questions from the last podcast I edited. So, you know, when they did the blackout and everything went down, they were saying that someone was sabotaging them to find out how they got their power. Was that Kaji?
Yeah.
It was Kaji. Okay. We know he's a spy now. Secondly, in the last episode that we recorded, we found that all the pilot children are being kept in the school.
Yes.
In Japan, so that they're all close together.
All the ones that were candidates for the 4th, I think.
So it's just for the 4th, because I was going to say, why then is Asuka in Germany?
No,
if they're trying to keep them close together.
They say in this one they keep all the candidates for the 4th together.
Okay, so it wasn't just keeping pilots together.
No,
it's just keeping them for the 4th.
Yeah, because when I watched this episode, they clarified it, and I was like, yes, they were all potentials. So
they're not potential for any other Ava. It was just the 4th.
I think so.
Okay.
Because other countries had other Avers and other pulls. I don't know. And there's something more psychological going on with the Japanese division. Because obviously, Asuka, even though she syncs great with her Unit 2, was the only one ever set to pilot it. But she's also the one that gets the most overlooked. If you think about it, if you think about all the situations, they're always like, Shinji Rei, Shinji Rei, Shinji Rei, Asuka's there. Shinji Rei, Shinji Rei, Shinji Rei, Asuka's there. And even though Asuka is super confident in the battle with the angels, you've noticed how actually she doesn't get as good of results a lot of the time without assistance from Rei and Shinji. So I always get the feeling that there's something more to do with all those pilots and something more to do with Japan and the Human Instrumentality Project.
Thank you. That's that. Okay, so episode 19, A Man's Battle. So to recap from the last episode, Toji was put in Ava 3 as the 4th pilot. After an angel attack, he's close to death. And we open this episode inside Unit 1 with Shinji. Now, he has severed the link between himself and HQ because he wants to just not have anything to do with them. He's upset with all the secrets and the lies.
Yeah, he's severed umbilical cord and he's working as an independent entity, and he's saying like he's still got 3 minutes left, and that time he could destroy them all if he wanted to because he's now completely in control.
And they're trying to justify what they did to Toji, but he's not having it. He's made up his mind. He doesn't want to do what NERV are telling him to do. If it means hurting his friends. Gendo is sat listening to the whole thing. At this point, we're seeing Shinji's passion really coming out. The fact that he doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want his friends to die. He doesn't want to do this. So Gendo manages to fully cut out the power to Unit 1 before Shinji can do anything.
Well, he floods the LC fluid. So I don't know if he either increases the oxygen intake in the LC or decreases it, but he does something that causes Shinji to pass out.
We cut to outside where Ritsuko is inspecting the carnage that the Ava left behind. Misato joins her and they're stood in front of what looks like brain matter. It's not pretty. It's not.
Bashed in cranium of the last angel, yes.
Rei and Asuka are in the medical unit. They're a little bit beaten up, but not really. And they are talking about Shinji and Toji because they're still in hospital. Asuka says to Rei, "Oh, they're probably dreaming." And Rei asks, "Dreams?" And Asuka says, "Dreams, you know what they are, right?" So that was just an interesting little back and forth between the two of them of not knowing what a dream is. It's more about Rei. Toji wakes up and he can't remember it. What's happened? He's like, "Where am I? Why is Shinji here? What's going on?" And then he passes out.
Probably
and
for the best, really. That's the best way to be.
And then he's on a train. We see this train quite a lot, really, don't we, in these kind of situations? And on the next carriage, he sees Rei and Shinji, who are talking about Shinji's father and how he's betrayed him. And what we can get from this is that maybe this is a conversation that is actually happening, but Toji is seeing it in this instance. So it could be something that's happening in the bed next to him, because when he wakes up, Shinji's gone.
Yeah.
And we hear it's been 3 days since he fell into a coma. So
the train, obviously, most of the time is a representation of the subconscious. And the reason it's a train is because the train is not a fixed point. It's part of the journey. And when you're lost and you don't know what you're doing, you're not at a fixed point. So Shinji spends a lot of time being lost and doesn't know what the right decision is and doesn't know who the right people to connect to is and doesn't know what's going on. So it's always perpetually like travelling.
And also when he did that first time he was going to run away, he ended up on a train just going round and round, didn't he?
Yeah. So
in real life,
the train is Shinji's subconscious. He's having a lot of conversations. I mean, he's having a conversation with Rei in his subconscious. Now, whether or not that's his, the conversation about how you're self-reflected back in others. So that's the Rei he sees in his mind, and so that's his reflection of who Rei is. And he's having a
But this is Toji.
Yes, we'll get to that. Toji has somehow slipped onto this consciousness. And it kind of implies that there's a conscious connection between the pilots and the Avers could be connected, because otherwise, how could the dummy system work? How could Rei be able to pilot Unit 1 if you cannot synchronize with other suits? But through the traumatic event that they both shared, Toji being literally like smooshed an angel and Shinji doing the smooshing, as an idea that there's a shared consciousness going on because they've got a shared trauma and link. It's all that weird psychological stuff that I'm not very good at explaining because it's not my field. But I always took that as when Toji goes back into unconsciousness, part of his consciousness is linked. So he's in a different carriage. There's not a known element, like Shinji does not know that Toji's overhearing him having an argument with his subconscious personification of Rei and how she would talk through this experience with him.
So like I say, then Toji wakes up, sees that Shinji is gone, and the class rep is there with him, because she cares about him. She's saying it's business, but it's not. She clearly cares about him. And all he requests is that she goes to tell his sister that he's okay, because they're in the same unit, so she must have heard about it. And that's the last we see of Toji for this time being. Yep. Don't see him again now. Shinji is in prison and handcuffed because of the disobedience and the blatant ignoring of orders and the fact he wanted to kill everyone.
Yeah, using Ava for his own personal motives.
Gendo asks, "Do you want to go?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't be in this world of lying and killing." And Gendo lets him go, but again comes up with the storyline of you're running away again. So Shinji is always running, and he's now running away again. To be fair, it's not a bad excuse to run away that you don't want to kill people.
Yes. It's like, well, I mean, Shinji's forever running. The running away thing is a continuous metaphor because he runs away from himself, he runs away from connections. He is deeply afraid of connecting to people because he's always forever, as you see when he does another one of his monologues, it's this whole theory of connectivity and he just keeps disconnecting and therefore they do it in the physical thing. He just keeps running away from this. So he's running away from yet another problem that he doesn't know how to deal with.
But that's his control, because if he can't control the situation, then he can control if he's there or not for it. So running away is the only way he is making a decision for himself. They say that Ray will now be the pilot to Ava 1 and the dummy plug will be the backup, which at this point seems like a solid plan because it went well with Ray last time when she got into Unit 1. We cut to the flat and Shinji's on his bed. He gets a phone call from Ida, who is talking to him about quitting. He heard because Ida knows everything.
Yeah.
And he's really disappointed in him. He doesn't want him to quit. He wants to be a pilot so badly that he can't understand why someone doesn't. He must know about Toji. If the class rep knows about Toji, then he must know.
Yeah.
So surely there's some sort of understanding there that, you know,
Ida's
your mate nearly
just a
died.
little bit obsessed with the military and the giant robots and the weapons, and he's still kind of seeing that how cool and exciting it is. They don't know why Toji got injured. Those kind of details wouldn't be available to the public or even the military, really, because it's like NERV are keeping secrets about what's going down.
But then the phone call is cut off because it's being monitored. And obviously, if you're talking about government stuff over the phone and the government is listening or NERV is listening, then they're going to stop that phone call because they don't want those secrets getting out. So he's cut off. But then again, Ida should know that he's not going to be able to talk about this stuff on the phone. But never mind. We needed that scene. At the train station, Misato is dropping Shinji off and she informs him that his life will now be restricted. And I assume that those restrictions would be like he can't talk to Ray and Asuka because...
Yeah, also he can't talk about anything. Also, his movements will be monitored in case he decides to sell, secrets to other governments or anyone else approaches. So yeah, it's going to be a very tough life.
And Gendo requested that he was deleted from the HQ, as in like he can't get in and out of it anymore. Yeah. But Misato hasn't done that. She's told him, no, I'm allowing you to come back. If you want to come back to your room, it's going to be exactly the same, because she's hoping that he will change his mind.
Yes.
But he has told her that he will never, ever pilot an Ava again. He does not want to do it. His mind is made up. He also asks why Toji was the fourth children. And then she tells him about how in his class they were all potential pilots. So this is now news to him. He didn't know this. Yeah. So he's starting to find out things. Misato leaves him by saying that NERV had no choice with what happened and they had trusted him to do what was necessary. Is the breakdown of what she said. And he doesn't accept this. He thinks this is really selfish because they're not thinking of him, they're thinking of themselves. But in a way, they're kind of thinking of humanity. Yes. They're not just thinking about NERV, they're thinking about the world. And if one person has to be sacrificed to save a planet of people, then that's what NERV will do. However, Shinji doesn't see it as that. He's seen it as, this was my friend and you put me in the position that where I had to almost kill him.
Yeah, so Shinji's very much does not see the bigger picture of the worldview. I mean, he finds it hard enough to connect to the people around him, let alone forming enough connections to accept the wider world, and there's more to life than him and his feeling. It's one of those things that you can still see that he's still naive and still a bit selfish. Yes, he went for a really traumatic thing and it was executed horrifically, but at the end of the day, it meant that, goodness knows how many countless lives were saved.
The alarm goes off while he's waiting for the train. An angel is approaching. And you can see the conflict in Shinji's face when hearing this, because obviously it'll be natural for him to jump into action and go straight to the Ava and start to fight. But he's made up his mind. He's not going back. So he's kind of got this face of, I can't go, basically. I've made up my mind. I've told him what I've said. I'm not going, but still an angel is coming. We then go to part 2, which is called Interjection. So the next angel comes and it's a floating rectangle thing and it's got these weird tapey arms. It's floating over Tokyo 3 and nothing can stop it at this point. They're firing it. It's not even getting bothered. It's just floating and floating. So clearly these things are getting stronger and they're adapting to what Tokyo 3 and NERV are throwing out at them. There's a blast and it turns into a cross shape. We get our cross shape blast again. The Avers are deployed But Ray is in Unit 1 instead of 0, and Unit 1 rejects Ray. It doesn't want Ray now. It's like, no, you are not Shinji. So Gendo says that they should put the dummy plug in instead.
Yep.
And they put Ray into Unit 0, but they've already said that Unit 0 hasn't got enough power to do anything. And it doesn't know. But they put him in anyway. And Ray says that she's fine with doing it. And if she dies, she dies. She'll get replaced, which is really sad.
Yes. I mean, the whole thing is like, it's poor tragic because she gets rejected, but when you see her synchronize and it rejects her, you see the way that she kind of keels over and covers her mouth. It's like the smell and the taste in there has changed. The makeup and the actual biological element of there is no longer a comfortable or an environment that she can connect with. So it's totally rejecting. It's like, oh no, this is a foreign body in me now, when before she and Shinji had a connection and the Ava kind of accepted that. Now it's completely rejecting it because Shinji is the only thing that can be in it. Obviously there are reasons for this now as the episodes go on. And then obviously the dummy plug that holds Ray's kind of synchronization data is also rejected because it is not Shinji, and Unit 1 only wants Shinji.
And Shinji is watching all this from afar. He's watching this angel coming, and again he's in conflict, but he's not going to do it because he's a stubborn mule. Asuka is deployed, and she's pretty much on her own at this point because they're waiting to get Ray into Unit 0, and Unit 1's not coming out, and Unit 3 is out of commission. So it's up to Asuka at this point, and she's just shooting the living daylights out of it. She's like, bah, not working, bah, not working, bah.
Yeah.
She just gives up all the
bigger guns, double guns, bazookas, like bomb launchers. We'll do it all. Asuka never tried close combat. Like, she doesn't throw herself at the angels in the same way that, like, Shinji and Ray often do. She's like, yeah, I could totally shoot it from a distance.
But she can't beat its AT field. It just keeps moving towards her. And its tape arms come out, the angels' tape arms. They shoot out and they chop off both of Asuka's arms. Or, not Asuka, but the Ava. But she feels that.
Yep.
But she's so full of adrenaline at this point. She's just like, bah, and runs at it.
Yeah, now she's like, right, now it's time for close combat. I'm just going to run at it. I try not to think of Monty Python and the Black Knight at this point, but it's hard not
just
to.
A flesh wound.
Yes. And it's running.
But she's running at it, and before NERV could sever the neural connections, we see Ava 2's head fly off. Whee!
Yep.
So she can feel that, because it's just too close, because it cuts to Misato, who shouts, cut the neural connection. But as she says it, it then cuts to
you hear the
Asuka.
Sound, and then you see the head, and you see Asuka, like, holding her neck. Although I don't know how she'd be holding her neck if she can't feel her arms, because she's lost them as well. But we'll go with instinct.
Muscle memory. Because they say when someone's had a limb removed, they can still feel it as if it's there. So maybe that's what she's having. Yeah. But she's actually still got her limb, so she could move it. I don't know. Shinji is waiting to be evacuated, and he can hear Asuka's voice in his head saying, why do Ava pilots need evacuation training? We're going to be piloting. We're not going to be evacuated. But ironically, he's being evacuated because he's no longer pilot. And just as he thinks this, he's faced with Ava 2's head because it comes crashing through the building. And he's sat there looking at it like, oh no. Because of course, he's not there. He's not seeing this. So all he knows now is that Ava 2's head is sat in front of him.
Yep.
Luckily, Asuka is still alive. She's not dead. She's not out for, trauma or shock or anything. And they try to deploy Unit 1 with the dummy plug. Again, it refuses to do anything, and it completely shuts down. It's given up like Shinji has. It's not going to do anything unless Shinji is there, it's decided. Outside, everyone is running around in panic, trying to get to the next evacuation unit. And at this point, they can see, because Shinji stood there looking at the state of Ava 2, so everyone else can see the state of Ava 2. So, of course, everyone is in blind panic mode. And then we get a lovely moment of Kaji just watering his plant.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so watermelons. It's like, so when everyone else evacuates, you just go and water your plants. It's interesting because obviously this is the first time an angel has breached all the layers, and it did them in a couple of bombs, ripped through, so it's now in the geo front. So all the city has like been pulled down, so everyone's down in it. And I was like, oh damn, this would be probably a better case if we'd actually kept the city up there away from this massive battle. So people are seeing this mass, and it's the closest an angel's ever got to Adam, right on its doorstep. And Kaji's just like, yeah, Watermelons, they need love too.
Well, he's just this calm thing in the middle of all this chaos, isn't he? And through this episode, just Kaji became my favorite character. He's great, and he is kind of a sensei to Shinji at this point because he focuses his mind while he's stood there just watering his plants. He doesn't know yet about Shinji though. He's like, well, why are you here? I'm here because I'm not allowed. I can't control a combat station, so I'm out here instead because there's nothing else for me to do.
Yep, and
he
does say, and they found out about my other part-time job, my side
Yes.
job. So they kind of like, right, we're going to just keep you out of the loop for a bit now because we're over how useful you were before, but now we don't need you for anything.
So Shinji tells him, I'm not a pilot. It's my decision, and I'm never doing it again. So when he questions why Kaji is outside and not evacuating or safe, Kaji says if he's not with Misato, then he wants to die watering his plants.
Yeah.
Because that's where he's happy. And then just saying that, it makes Shinji realize how bad this is because Kaji's resigned to the fact that he could die. So he's where he wants to be when he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just wakes Shinji up a little bit of, oh, we could all die.
Yes.
And now Kaji drops some knowledge on him. And also, this is the part where Kaji is basically telling Shinji everything that he needs to know, because at this point, Shinji's still in the dark about a lot of this stuff. And he tells him that if the angel reaches Adam, who is currently sleeping in NERV, so underneath them, then the third impact will happen and destroy humanity and everything, unless something with the same power as an angel can stop it, and that's only an Ava. This is why the Avers were created, because they are the only things that can destroy an angel. So then Rei and Unit Zero pop out of the ground at this point, and she's holding a bomb or mine.
The N2 mine, yeah. Oh, this bit always breaks my little heart, and I think it's another like kicking Shinji's butt, and also Gendo's like, oh my god, because no one were expecting her to just gone a massive suicide run. Which nearly could have worked.
But what I don't understand with this is that the amount of times that Avers have been blown up and, put into really bad situations, they've been fine with it. However, this time, it's a huge deal. So why is it this time?
Hey, her Ava is not fully powered up to scratch. When they're powered and they're connected and stuff, they've got more protection. There's also, most of these massive things, there's been another Ava around to share AT field. I think there's a good chance that she would have survived it, but I think it's the fact that she went out there without telling them what she was doing in a depowered, less strong Ava, and literally was like, oh, I'm going on a suicide run. Also, if you shove an N2, because the N2s do kill the angels, but only if you can get them into their cores. So I'm not entirely sure what happens if you're this far away from a bomb exploding and also exploding a core at the same time on top of you when you don't have an AT field up. Because I don't think she's using her AT field at this point. I think she's just literally running at it, rips open the AT field with bare hands, and then shoves the bomb in its mouth. Which it then goes, ha ha, tricked you, I have a shell.
And they all watch this happen. As you say, Gendo is distraught with this. He can't believe Rei is doing it. And Unit Zero goes down. It's on the floor. It's down. And we don't know what has happened. We don't know if Rei's okay. We don't know if Unit Zero has been completely destroyed. We know it's there, but we don't know how badly it's damaged. Kaji, still calm, tells Shinji that he can do something about this. He can still go back and help, but no one's going to tell him what to do. It has to be his decision to go back. He has to man up, grow some balls, as Asuka would say, and he needs to make this choice for himself. And with a mixture of that talking to and seeing the other Avers completely destroyed, it didn't matter how they were going to end up, they still fought. And this kind of kicks Shinji into, right, that's it, I have to go back. I have to help my friends. Because although one of his friends has been hurt, with him leaving, 2 more of his friends have been hurt.
Yeah, and also all of humanity could now be destroyed because he left. And it's just like, is that finally seeing the bigger picture, that he doesn't want to pilot an Ava because it's causing him harm. But by not piling it's all of humanity that gets harmed. It's like there's no way you can run to escape the end of the world. And he would just be filled with regrets. Kaji says, you'll regret this later. It'll be like, yeah, you were the reason that the world ended. Like, that's a much heavier sin to carry than you hurt one of your friends. When it wasn't you that did it, you were forced into a situation where you had to choose one life over the lives of the many.
And then we see that the angel is still around. It did not work. Ray didn't get to it in time, which is a jolly good shame. And again, that shows that it's much stronger than any angel that they have fought previously. And it has destroyed the final bulkhead to HQ. So this is it. It can get in now. Gendo is still trying to use the dummy plug on Unit 1. He's just not giving up with it. But Shinji suddenly appears and his trigger hand is ready. He's like twitching away, getting ready to get in. The angel is inside HQ now. It's managed to get into the building. It's dropping its way down to the command center. They say to evacuate, but it's too late and the angel is in the room with them.
Yep.
And to see the size of an angel compared to a human is frightening. Because, yes, we've seen them looking up at it and everything, but we've never seen an angel face to face with a human.
Yeah.
So that is terrifying.
Especially its face. This one with its almost semi like skull like face, and the fact that it's looking at them like, I am going to eat you. Jaws of death.
Yeah. And just as it's about to do something, Ava 1 flies in and punches it in the face.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's like, oh, thank
So Ava 1.
goodness. Yeah.
And Gendo watches the fight because they're right in front of him and he's just not flinching. He's not running away. He wants to see what happens. He wants to see...
Even when he's like
how...
splattered with blood.
Yeah. And the splatter of blood is Ava 1's hand because it gets cut off. But like Asuka, Shinji is now filled with adrenaline and he wants to just release all this built up anger and pressure that he's been feeling. He's releasing it onto this angel now. This is it. I'm gonna take out everything on you because I can take it out on you. So he pushes him into where they get ejected and they go flying up to get him out of the building.
Yeah, because at first they're fighting in the cage and then he's like, Masato! The launch station.
So they're shot out into the bigger world. And Shinji's face at this point, when he's about to kill the angel, never seen that face on Shinji before.
No, you're like, oh, a little bit of your sanity has just gone. This is a different, something else inside you is waking up. Something slightly unhinged is coming to the surface now. And also a little bit of pleasure in the destruction you have caused can be seen.
Mm-hmm. But he's about to kill it in the most horrific way because he just grabs its face through the holes that should be eyes. And he's just pulling at its face as if it's going to rip its head off.
Yeah.
But just as it's going to, boom, it runs out of power. Oh dear.
Oh dear. Didn't realise that the umbilical cord wasn't still attached, so he only had like 5 minutes to smoosh this thing.
Now the angel gets its own back. It picks up Ava 1 and throws it away. And then he cuts him open, and here we see that Ava 1 has an angel core.
Yes, it has a core. Dun, dun,
yes.
Dun.
And Masato, for the first time, has seen this as well. So she's in shock. I mean, she knew along the lines of what was happening with the Avers, but to actually see it for the first time is a shock to everyone. Shinji's sat inside Ava 1, and he is begging Ava 1 to just do something. He wants it to power up. He wants just something, a miracle to happen. And it does.
Yes. You see that the actual part he's in starts cracking. So the things around the plug and his actual plug is starting to crack. And he's just like that desperate, do something. I don't want anyone else to die. I don't want anyone else to die. He's past some kind of limit break, really.
Yeah, so Ava 1 becomes a monster, basically. It starts roaring. It starts breathing.
Yep.
And it throws the angel away, just like it just did to him. As we remember, one of its hands has been chopped off. So it grabs an angel tape, one of his arms.
One of the angel's arms.
And it attaches it to himself and it regenerates its arm.
And it's a human-looking arm. It's a flesh arm.
It's a human-looking arm with fingernails and it's gross.
Yes. I mean, this whole sequence is I think this is one of my most disturbing sequences.
It really is. It has beaten the last one, for sure. This whole bit now has reached number 1 in disturbing scenes of Neon Genesis.
The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, God. When you see it, over at the things, and it's like a prey, and his eyes...
Wait. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. So, so excited.
Disturbs
But
me.
the interesting thing is, Ritsuko says she's awake.
Yes.
It's a girl. Ava 1 is a girl. So is this Eve?
You'll find out.
Don't tell me I'll find out. I found out. It has to be. If Adam is downstairs, then and this is a girl, it has to be Eve. It has to.
You'll find out.
Lizzie.
I know who she is.
Or, because I did have another thought, but I'll come back to it. I'll come back to that one.
Whatever
have
thought
another
you
thought.
have, I'm not going to answer because you'll find out.
I know you're not, but I like to see a slight raise of the eyebrow or a flick of your nose or something to say, oh, I've said something.
I don't know, I think my poker face has been quite good so far.
No, you haven't seen the little twitches that you do.
Yeah.
So Ava 1 is now more ape-like than anything else, as if it's going through an evolution cycle, because it's breathing like a gorilla. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's walking on all fours like an ape would. And then it goes over to the angel and eats it.
Yes. Gross.
And this is what you were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just its eyes. The way it's like you see it from a distance and it turns round and, you know, that breath, hot breath is coming out and it's just like it's hunted, stalked and killed its prey in the middle of the night. Yeah, decides to start eating the angel. And it's gross and creepy and weird. Yeah, this was the bit that really turned me. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, that's not normal.
They say that, well, they asked the question, is Ava 1 trying to incorporate its S2 drive into itself? What's an S2 drive?
Now, I don't think they've ever at any point really explained this, so I think it's something that's coming up later. 'Cause
Okay.
it's something the angels have that the Avers don't. And it's something that I'm assuming that because the angels are controlled by humans, and they have that whole conversation they're about to have in a minute about the meaning of life. Everything like the angel, so the Avers are controlled by man. They have a human pilot to act as their hearts and their souls. But
Did you say this is the angels?
no, the Avers.
I was going to say, I was like, we don't know this about the angels. No, carry on.
No, the Avers, the human element is their heart and soul. Obviously, Ava Unit 1 is now waking up, but it's missing something to fully be its own life form. The angel is a fully functioning, living creature with a consciousness. So I always assume that the S2 drive is whatever the Avers are missing so that they can be classified as a life, as something, as a person, has the right to exist, basically.
Yeah, I got a bit lost with that because they keep mentioning the S2 drive as if we know what it is. And I was like, I'm pretty sure we haven't heard of the S2 drive till now. So...
I think we've heard the term, but we haven't had any explanation of what it is. But it's something that's basically the Avers are not supposed to have because it will kind of stop them being used the way the government wants them used as a weapon.
And the other thing that we are told is that the Ava has a 400% sync rate. Now, at this point, we don't know what that means, but we do find out soon. We don't have to wait too long for what that means. Ava 1 sheds its armor, or its restraints, as Ritsuko calls it. And this means that NERV has lost control. That's it. That it's its own thing now.
Yes.
Kaji is watching the whole thing, and he says that he is watching the awakening and liberation of Unit 1. That's poetic.
Yes. You get the sense that Ava Unit 1, or the Avers, are a repressed species that have been constrained to be used as a weapon, and actually they've got independent thought and existence. And this is what happens when you let them go.
And then the deputy commander and Gendo are having their little chitty chat. And the deputy commander asks Gendo if this was part of the plan. And Gendo just says, it all starts now. That's not an answer. That doesn't tell us if it was part of the plan. Just starts now.
You kind of assume that it's part of the plan because he's like, yeah, it starts now. He wanted this all along.
And then credits. Going on to episode 20 of The Shapes of Hearts and Humans. Or as I wrote, hummus.
The shape of hummus.
I was so tired. There's so many spelling mistakes in this, it's untrue. And in this one is when we get a recap. This is where they go back and start with when the Ava starts to break out of its restraints, just so that, unlike us who have watched one after the other, it's, well, if this was a week ago, this is what happened.
Yeah.
We then cut to the old man council, who are not happy,
No.
of course.
I mean, I don't think Sailor are ever happy about anything.
True. And they said that the Avers shouldn't be able to assimilate an S2 drive. So again, they know about the S2 drive, we don't. And this isn't part of the council's plan. This, whatever Aver 1 is, it's not part of the plan. So am I to assume that the council just think that the Avers are robots?
Yeah, weapons to fight. Yeah.
So then they start questioning Gendo's capabilities, and if this, if he's doing this for himself, basically, this was his plan rather than their plan. But they were saying that he was the only one who could execute what they were asking him to do. He was the only one who could build these Avers. They didn't ask him how he was going to do it.
No, they didn't. What's that quote? They were so concerned by thinking if they could, they never stopped to think if they should. I can't remember what it's from, but this is very instrumental kind of idea.
Very much. And yeah, they kept saying, we need to put a bell on Gendo. And they're like, he has a bell, it just didn't ring.
Yeah.
So they were keeping tabs on him, which was Kaji.
Yep.
But Kaji didn't know everything. He couldn't, or what he did know, he must not have given back to the council, because they're saying it didn't ring, which means that Kaji didn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
Well, so it could be that Kaji hadn't told the council what was going on.
Probably and then we go that Kaji's alive.
Maybe. And then we go into our Majora's Mask montage of the first day. Because in Majora's Mask it says dawn of the first day. So I was getting lots of flashbacks for that. The first day. So this was the day after all the craziness happened.
Yeah.
Mitsouko is talking to the staff about the damage that had been done and that it would take time to get everything back to normal. So that's the two Avers who were destroyed. So Aver 2 and Aver 0. Getting Aver 1 back to how that should be. Because at this point they've got him restrained and they've got him back to where he should be.
They're like, is
how
the cage going to be able to contain it?
But how they got him back, we don't know. They just skipped that bit. They didn't say, oh, it just stopped. They
got tired after its meal and was having a nap, and then they just wrestled it down.
And yeah, HQ is completely destroyed. The Magi seems to be offline as well, because they said it's down. So now they have to go to use the second command unit, which isn't as nice and comfortable as the first one. But
look, the chairs are too hard. It doesn't feel right. I'm like, you go, Maya. Priorities there. I was like, oh, this carnage, and she's talking about the firmness of the chairs.
I'm sure they can take one of the old chairs down.
Exactly, just take a chair with you. There's bigger concerns. Come on.
So they're talking about getting everything back in order, basically. They managed to get Unit 1 back to NERV, and it's bandaged and bloody. It's been restrained, but Misato says it's already tried to escape NERV's control 3 times. And it gives flashbacks to the times in the series where we actually see that starting to happen. You're like, oh, yes. So that's why.
It's been trying to break free for a while. It is grim seeing it like this, because it looks like a mummified human. It looks like normal human bandages rather than metal plating. It's one eye stone. And also, its teeth have perfectly formed as human teeth. So because when you see it breaking from its restraints, you see it building muscle and flesh and trying to regenerate its original body. I mean, we don't know kind of what the original body would look like, but we've got an idea. But it's looking the most human it's looked.
It's evolving the way that the angels are, but whereas the angels are evolving to a situation and how it can overcome things like technology and stuff, the Avers are evolving as humans do.
Yeah.
They're saying that the D2 drive lies dormant, so it could be that it's assimilated the D2 drive, but it doesn't know how to use it just yet. It's just there.
Yeah.
So it's not fully alive just yet. The Old Man Council talk about the destruction of the angel and what it's done. And they think that this is all because of Gendo and doing his sneaky. Kaji is with Gendo, and they're talking about what to do next. And they think that they should keep Aver 1 grounded. They don't think they should do anything with Aver 1 just yet. Yeah. Which, I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, if it's turning into a weird savage beast that's cannibalising things, then maybe don't let it out.
Yeah. Don't poke the bear. Or gorilla, or whatever it is.
Or the beast. I'm pretty sure they call it a beast at some point.
I think beast is an apt word for it, because we're not quite sure yet. I think what you were saying about the teeth in the eyes, I think the most disturbing thing about that is because it doesn't seem to have lips, so it's got nothing to cover its teeth, and it doesn't seem to have eyelids, so it's got nothing to shut its eyes.
So it hasn't grown its dermal layer yet. Because what you
No.
see are muscles and sinew and stuff, but it hasn't grown a dermal layer yet.
Apart from its arm, because that's got fingernails and
Yeah.
things on the outside. But yeah, so that's the thing that's disturbing, because you look at someone with no lips, it's quite
Grim.
disturbing. Ava 1 won't let go of the pilot plug. It wants to keep it.
Yep.
And when we look inside, Shinji is gone. He's no longer there. And this is where the 400% sync rate comes in, because it has absorbed him and turned him into soup. Shinji soup.
Primordial goo.
So he is there, but he's not there. His physical presence is no longer there. Just, or it is. It's
Is
just
this in a
tiny,
primordial
tiny pieces.
form?
Misato questions Ritsuko of what an Ava is. And again, she can't fully tell her. She holds back, but she does say that it's similar to a human created by humans.
Now, in the original dub, it was one of my favourite lines that has stuck with me. So I don't know if they do it in this redub, but Ritsuko's line is, Ava is that which was created by man in man's own image. Which tells you that when they made the Avers, and the reason they look so humanoid is they were trying to recreate life, and essentially they are playing God now. And they say this in the rest of the speech, the fact that Misato later on goes, so even now we'll use God as a tool. There's this idea that the only thing that can create life is God. So humans are now playing God, but they're also using pilots and stuff as ways to control.
And this is becoming very reminiscent of Attack on Titan.
Well, I think we're saying that Attack on Titan is very reminiscent of this, because I have a theory about Attack on Titan in the fact that I think Attack on Titan is the evolution of the new wave mecha genre. I could go on about that separately, but basically, normal mecha evolved into new wave mecha, which is what Evangelion was. And then there was a whole slew of similar and equally amazing animes like Fafner, Razafon, Bokurano, which all deal with a more psychological and different idea of what a mecha suit was. Then when Titan came about, people were like, yes, but when you realise that people kind of essentially pilot the Titans and they are the evolution of a biomechanical construct, that they are a totally biological construct, it's easy to see that Titans are actually mechas. It's just a very much an evolution of where New Wave Mecha has gone, because it deals with those same things of entrusting young people to pilot something and using it as an extension of their subconsciousness as their armour to fight in a world where adults have used conspiracies and politics to kind of recreate life, play God, especially by the stage you are now in Ava. You're like, holy moly, I did not see that coming. I'm not going to spoil it because this is not Ava, Titan. I'm not going to spoil it because there's people who might not be up to date on Titan watching this. But I always thought that Titan is very much an evolution of the thought process and the ideals that started in Evangelion.
With what you just said about the Titan being controlled by human, is that spoiler?
No, because Eren turns into a Titan. Well, by about episode 3, I'm pretty sure he turns into a Titan. Then it spends a million episodes trying to put that freaking boulder in a hole, which really annoyed me in the first series. People know that people turn into Titans. Possible spoiler. We'll have to put a little mild spoiler for Attack on Titan here.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
I would actually definitely put there is a spoiler for like maybe season 1 or 2 of Attack on Titan, because I can't remember where the other Titans with people in turn up. I was thinking it might make quite a good one for us to review.
No, it's horrible and scary. I don't like it.
Oh, and it's no different than what we've watched with Ava, with Ava units being eaten and people. Okay, it's not. It's so clever and so interesting, and it would make a great comparison.
There is a difference between monsters killing and eating monsters to giant people eating tiny people.
No, because actually
Yes,
there isn't.
There is.
Like, you literally saying that makes it even more obvious that Titan is the evolution of Ava. God, that'd be such an interesting comparison. Even in story structure. You were the one that brought up Titan, and now I'm like...
It was a good point.
It was an amazing point. Because now I need to rewatch Titan and the comparison. So interesting. I've been wanting to do a deep dive in it anyway. But yes.
Right, okay, so that's another one. Cool. Okay, back to what we were saying. I don't even know what we were up to yet. Okay, so we're talking about the Avers, Misato. They're talking about... Okay, yeah. So while Misato and Ritsuko are talking about that's similar to a human being created by a human, it's not just a copy. A human has been infused with it. Now,
You'll find that out
here's-
later.
Yes, but this is my second theory.
Okay.
To it being Eve, I have a second theory, and it came up in this episode. But we'll get to that. We're not there yet. Misato slaps Ritsuko because she wants her to fix this mistake. She's saying, this is your fault. Get Shinji back, you cow.
Basically, yeah. Enough with the mind games, the science, the experimentation, the bigger picture. It's time
Get
to
Shinji
save
back.
this boy.
Yes.
Because he's become my boy.
He my boy.
My boy. He's my son.
On to the second day. Ray is in the medical unit, so Ray's okay.
Yes.
Yay, she didn't die.
I mean,
And
she might have lost
she's
an eye, but
But she's surprised to be alive herself. I'm alive. And we find out that Asuka is also fine, because we hadn't heard from her since the head chopping off. But she's mad. Again, she's mad, because this is another person who can't see the bigger picture. As she's really mad, as Shinji saved the day once again, and she got her moment taken away from her, and she's ripped up pillows, she's chewed up magazines, she's just in a complete rage that once again Shinji is the golden boy, and it's like, girl, what you've just been through.
I think it's at this point that I'm like, okay, Oscar, your madness and stuff was kind of fun and interesting dynamic, but it was this bit is the point that like Misato calls her to say that Ray's okay, and she's like, I don't give a damn. She just doesn't care that Ray's okay, because again, she sees like, well, Ray upstaged her by like, trying to do the big old sacrifice. Everyone's worried about Ray. She's like, why would I be worried about Ray? What she's not worried about is the health and safety of anybody, is the fact that she wasn't the star. And it's just that mentality is just so not needed now in this situation, where even people like Shinji are seeing the bigger picture and everyone else is maturing. And you realise just how much she's not maturing at all. Yeah, all these events she's going through, and she's still seeing it as, I am the star of the show and I want to save the day. Maybe.
However, at this point, Asuka knows the least out of anyone.
Yeah.
She doesn't know about Adam. She doesn't know about what happened to Shinji. She doesn't know humanity is threatened by the third impact at this point. She is now the Shinji of the group.
Yes.
And she's in the dark. So you can kind of understand that she's where Shinji was but a few days ago. But at the same time, a lot has happened.
Yeah, if she knew the bigger picture, well, if she knew the secrets, then she would have a different way of thinking. But she's still not thinking about humanity. She's just thinking about her worldview at the moment.
Maybe if she gets told more, she might change her mind, but we won't know yet. The third day, they are making plans to save Shinji, as a life form called Shinji still exists.
Yes.
Shinji is still there. Staff are surprised that they want to save Shinji, because they're saying, well, surely it's more important to save Ava 1, because that's what it's all been about. And they're like, no, we have to save Shinji. And Mitsouko has to, because Misato will never forgive her otherwise. So this is now her number one priority, is to get Shinji back. Bunch of science jargon is spoken about how whatnot.
And also, well, it's all that id and ego, and the fact that I'm not into psychology and theology, so it's a bit like okay, his consciousness is there, but it's disconnected from his awareness of self. So they need to make Shinji aware of the self so that he can rematerialize as a physical entity. They know they completely haven't lost him because he's materialized a plug suit, which is being used as the physical representation of Shinji as a human construct. He just needs to reevaluate what Shinji is to give himself a physical form again.
Yeah, so reconstruct the body, placing his psyche back, and they're hoping to do this with the help of the Magi. And nothing's certain. It might work, it might not. They have no clue. This is sort of new territory.
Yes.
But we come into that. The fourth day. Now, we hear Shinji at this point, so we know he is still there. This is us getting confirmation that there is a Shinji of some type. It's his consciousness inside Ava 1, and he's getting flashes of people in his life. Everyone that he's ever met is flashing before him. And then he starts saying, my enemies, and the angels start flashing in front of him. He sees Asuka telling him that there's no reason to fight the angels other than protecting themselves and others. And he's starting to agree with this. Because before he was questioning, well, why are we fighting the angels? I don't know any reason why we should be doing it. And now he's starting to agree with Asuka. Yes, we need to protect everyone. We need to save ourselves and others. And then he starts saying my enemy over and over again, my enemy, my enemy. And as he's saying it, the angels start to turn into Gendo. So he's starting to say that Gendo is his enemy. But if he is synced with Ava 1, then surely this means that it is both of their enemy. Gendo is an enemy to Shinji and Ava 1.
Well, Gendo does say the reason that Ray and the plug wasn't is because he says a line like, this is about me, that it's rejecting me.
Yes.
So proof that like Ava Unit 1 has personal feelings about Gendo.
Yes. Just as Unit 0 has feelings about Ritsuko. Because in the earlier one,
Yes.
it was attacking and Ritsuko said, it's definitely 100% after me. So these Avers have beefs with the people that created them. Gendo stood before Shinji in his subconscious mind. And he says, how can you hurt Toji and murder my mother? So all those newspaper articles about Gendo killing his wife, is this Shinji reacting to what everyone is saying, or did that actually happen? We don't know at this point.
We don't know at this point, no.
It could be what Shinji's being told as opposed to what Shinji knows. So we don't know which one it is right now.
Yeah, so he kind of has that enemy flash, then it suddenly cuts to the escalator, doesn't it? And they're having a conversation on the escalator. And Shinji's like slightly like mad because he feels that Ray replaced him as the child in Gendo's eyes.
Yes. But at what point was this? Because we also see a little Ray as well.
Yeah.
At some point. So when did Ray replace with commas?
And it might not have actually happened because this could all be deductions based on Shinji's psyche and his consciousness. Plus, this is potentially a conversation with the Ray that lives in his consciousness and how he perceives her. It all's getting a bit weird. Then we also do see little Ray, showing that Ray was a child at some point and came from somewhere, but did she? Because this could also be just a perception that Shinji has created to deal with these questions.
So when you say Ray's consciousness, is this from when he was in Unit 01?
Okay, so you know when the last time he had one of these wiggy dreamscapes and he was like, he's a Shinji Ikari, they're a Shinji Ikari, there's the Shinji Ikari that's seen. So there's a Rei Ayanami, but he's talking to the Rei Ayanami that lives in his head.
But he thinks that it's because of Ray that he was abandoned by his father.
Yeah. Well, that's one of his thought processes, yeah.
This is a very confusing episode.
Well, yes, because this is all not physical. This is all subconscious and ego and all the psychological elements conflicting inside Unit 1.
And now we've got a really interesting part. I mean, it's all interesting, but this was particularly interesting. He recaps his talk with his father about why he was there and how he didn't want to pilot it. So the very first time he saw the Ava, he's having that conversation again. But then he remembers that he's seen an Ava before. Before that time when they got him in to pilot it, he has seen it. And they did a flashback to when he was like 4 of him seeing it. And he says that's why he ran away. It says he ran away from his parents. So was he abandoned? I mean, they say that he was abandoned after his mother died, but at this point his mother is still there because he ran away from his parents.
Yep.
So he ran away when he was little as well.
Yes. Oh, this I can't say because you'll find out soon exactly what happened. But there's now a question mark about whether he was ever actually abandoned or if that's a story he's created to cover up what really happened.
Yes, because if the Avers are involved and things were going as badly as they are now, because this was prototypes happening and just the start of it all happening. If things are going really badly, then they'll want him to not be there for it. They want to protect him. Part 2, weaving a story to oral stage.
I know, you're just like, that title makes no sense, but thanks for that. Things have got weird. We might as well continue with the titles.
And then we're on to the 30th day. So it's been a month since this has happened, since the big battle with the angel and everything. And Ava 1 is now finally getting back into its suit. They finally restrained it again. But its core is still exposed, so they haven't quite got to that bit. And they are still trying to save poor Shinji. So it's been a month of him not having a bodily form.
Yep.
Ritsuko is using a plan that was made 10 years prior when we first started the series, it's 2015. But someone said just recently that the impact was 16 years ago. So has a year happened since this whole thing has started?
I'm assuming so. I feel like time
Because
has moved on.
this is important because it means that 10 years ago, it will be 2006. So Shinji was 5. His mother was already dead because she died in 2004. It's very hard to keep up with his timeline.
I'm just going to go with it still 2015. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just go with that. Because we don't know what the actual time scale is because they haven't actually told us. Because some things like weekly episodes could mean that there's been a week apart, but then one episode is a month happens in one episode. So we're like,
But that's the thing. I'm trying to piece it together with what people have said. I'm sure that they said about the second impact 16 years ago, but maybe I misheard. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I don't remember
very
that.
confusing. So they've got a plan that was made 10 years prior of how to extract a person, but basically what's happened already.
Yes.
So they're surprised that this has happened before because they wouldn't need the plan if it hadn't have happened before. Then comes in my second theory that this happened to his mum, to Shinji's mum, because A, they've referred to it as a she, B, it's happened before, there's no body in the grave.
And Shinji's talking to his mum in the subconsciousness of the AV unit.
Yes. And the AV unit will not work with anyone except for Shinji. And it's got a vendetta against Gendo. It's all coming together. So, yes, that's from this. It feels like this is his mum. So my whole Rei theory has gone out the window. But then the Rei theory went out the window at the end of this episode. So, meh. Everything's coming together in this episode. Also, they asked if the plan worked, and she said, no, it failed. Yeah. So whoever is in there is still in there.
Yes.
Mother. The 31st day. Back inside Ava 1, Shinji's still seeing things. He's now in the lift talking to Rei. And they're talking about, again, why he pilots. And he says it's because he is an Ava pilot because he wants the recognition, like Asuka, but he wants it from the people he cares about. He wants people to be kind to him. And when he does a good job, people are nice to him. And they speak nicely to him. And that's why he does it. He wants the recognition. He wants people to be kind to him and treat him nicely. So that's what he's come to realise, that that's what he wants. And that's why he pilots.
Yes. Which is also why his ego is lost, because he's kind of rejected his ego. But actually he has an ego because he wants to be praised.
And now we get a very interesting scene of a naked Misato, a naked Asuka, and a naked Rei.
Yeah.
All asking Shinji to be with them. And does he want their body and soul and all this kind of stuff?
To be one with them, yes.
Yes. So we're getting a bit of a sexual awakening here.
See, I don't know how much about this I can describe without it giving away. Because obviously they're not asking him to have sex with them.
No.
They're asking him to become one. And basically they're asking him to stay assimilated in the Ava. We know it's a she.
Yes. So they're tempting him with people that he obviously finds attractive.
And is connected to.
And connected to, yes.
Who he might have a connection with. They're trying to probe to see which female figure has the strongest connection so that he can stay where he is.
Yes.
So it's like the mother, potentially the lover, potentially the sister, or the mother, the rival, the friend, the mother.
It is funny that the entire time Asuka is talking, she just keeps going, "You idiot, be one with me. You're such an idiot, body and soul." And she just keeps calling him an idiot over and over again. Yeah. It's like, oh, come on, just give it a rest for 1 minute.
Yeah, even Shinji's subconscious idea of Asuka is pretty hot on.
Yeah.
Like he's got Asuka right in his head. His subconscious thoughts of Misato, I think, are more towards the mother side than the lover side. Mm-hmm. What I always find interesting is Rei is more of the friend-lover representation in this rather than a sisterly bond. But it could be a sisterly bond. But then again, it could be a sisterly bond he has with Asuka because they fight so much. They could be, but basically, the other consciousness in Unit 1 is testing out and tempting Shinji with all the bonds he has to give him a reason to stay.
At this point, they are starting the salvage operation. They're going to try and get him out of there, try and get his body back. And he starts to hear everyone calling his name. Again, Shinji, you idiot, as Asuka.
Yep.
Or Shinji, you dummy, whatever it is she calls him. But yeah, so they're going Shinji, 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 Shinji. And then the plan fails and the plug ejects all of its fluid.
Yes.
Which would mean that that's ejecting whatever they had left of Shinji.
Yes.
It's now disintegrated and moved away. So
his
it's
primordial goo form is gone. His consciousness is gone. There is no physical thing that was Shinji Ikari. No social construct anymore.
However, we still have his psyche. And Shinji is having a conversation with his 4-year-old self on the train, back on the train. And then from the train, we jump to where he was before he was about to leave with Misato at the train station. And she says that he can't change that he was a pilot. That's just history now. Shinji was an Ava pilot. However, whatever he decides now for his future is up to him. So he now has choice in what he does. Misato is in the real world, is crying, holding the Shinji suit.
The plug suit.
The plug suit. The Shinji suit.
Shinji's plug suit.
Shinji suit.
Her line is beautifully upsetting. What's the point of all this science if it can't save one life? And you can just see how much that she's grown to love this boy and how she has put herself in the role of mother. While she's doing that, Shinji starts to think of his own mother and a conversation that his mother was having with Gendo. And they're talking about Shinji as a child and how there's something to live for and there's a future, etc. And then she says, what should we call him? And he says, if it's a boy, Shinji. If it's a girl, Rei. Yeah.
So if they're going to call their daughter Rei, and there is a Rei, and Gendo is very close to this Rei, they could have had a daughter and called it Rei, and Shinji didn't know. Or, as Rei is so close to Shinji in every way, clone.
What, clone of Shinji?
Yeah, but it is a girl.
I mean, I like it.
But
as long as there are clones in this, you'll be happy. The idea
there is clones. The Avers are clones. We've already got our clone.
They're not really clones. They are a new life form that man created and tried to restrain.
But they used it cloning an angel, they said.
Yeah, but they said that it's not exactly the same as an angel.
It's not exactly the same, but it's still cloned.
Yeah, but they manipulated the DNA to create a new life form.
Ugh, okay, fine.
There is a difference because it's a new life form, therefore that technically means that mankind can say that they are a god now. Because if you give new life to something, that's like, only the gods could create life.
Creation.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Rei exists. Let's put it that way. And
the concept of Rei exists. And also there's now a girl called Rei wandering around.
And we know that Gendo wanted a daughter called Rei. So there's pieces being put together, but we're not fully told what this all means.
Nope.
And then Shinji materializes. Ta-da!
Yep.
Shinji.
Well, he hears Masato and realizes that he does have a connection on the outside world and he does still want to be with people.
Ritsuko and Misato are now driving home after a long day of materializing boys.
It's a difficult day,
It is. Yep, they just talk about the Avers and what happened, and Ritsuko's still not giving anything up. No. She's still not.
They're towing the line between playing God and also trying to restrain God and use it as a tool.
Mitsouko asks Misato to go out for a drink, and she says, no, I have other plans, as if we don't know what that other plan is. Mitsouko clearly does, and she said, running off to your secret lover, and then something along the lines of, not like I'm not doing the same. So Ritsuko is going off to meet someone as well, or something, or whatever she considers a lover. So we're going to delve more into that, hopefully. And then we cut to Misato and Kaji in bed together, clearly entwined and obviously had carnal relations.
Yes.
Sex, they had sex.
I was going to say, they had sex, yes.
She questions him about Project Adam again, to which he's like, well, is that all you got me in bed for? She's like, partly. Yeah. He stops her from asking questions by having sexy times. Yep. And we don't see this, we just hear it in the background.
She sounds like she's having a good time.
She sounds like she's having a lovely time. And then she says, I don't know how it's worded in the dub, but she says, what are you trying to put into me? What are you trying to I can't remember the exact wording, but
it's
like,
subtitle, it's something like, you don't stick things like that in those places.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's just like, don't stick it there, basically. It's like, what are you trying to stick where? You
But then
assume
we
it's like
see-
something naughty, but
But no, it's a pill. She's got a pill in her hand. She puts it on the sign. She's like, not now, sort of thing.
yeah.
And so what that pill was, we don't know, but it's clearly important because Kaji says it's a present and it could be the last I ever give you. So what does that mean? I mean, the only pill I can think of is a cyanide pill. That would be the last gift you ever give someone.
Yeah.
So is he trying to kill her or?
You'll find out.
Oh my goodness. No, Kaji. This is my happy relationship. This is the one I want to work.
They do. They love each other. They love each other.
So why is he giving her pills? That could be the last thing he ever gives her. And oh no.
You have to wait and find out.
Oh, and then credits. It's oh gosh, I am exhausted after this.
It's ramping up.
It is exhausting trying to keep up with everything. Like
And
I keep talking and watching, and my tea keeps going cold. I still have half a cup here, and I can't drink it. I'm just talking so much.
There's
Oh.
a lot to look at.
Well, I'm hoping things become more obvious rather than all this cryptic crap. This is what happened. Oh, okay.
I can't wait. Oh, your poor brain.
We can't do this in the mornings anymore. My brain can't take it.
Well, it's only because I wake up at 7, so by the time it's like I'm raring to go.
Well, normally our times are afternoon, and I'm all right by then. I've got my lunch with me. I'm having a drink. I'm watching the Neon Genesis. Like, it's all lovely. This morning, I'm like, whatever. I was not with it at all.
Oh dear.
Episode 21 next. We're really getting to the end now because we've only got 6 episodes left. Okay, so anything that you would like to suggest for people listening?
I've watched some really good horror films recently. Crawl, about the giant alligators in the sewer. Wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I recommended them last time. Crawl is about the alligators under the house in the crawl space. I think I recommended that one on the last podcast. If I haven't, watch Crawl. It's about alligators under a house in a storm. Pretty tense. It's good. Found footage franchise Hell House LLC, very good. The second part's a bit weaker, but it's an underappreciated found footage franchise that's really good about a crazy house and shenanigans and ghosties and scary things. I enjoy it. I watched the remake of Child's Play again.
Oh yeah, that's on Netflix now, isn't it?
Yeah, I have such a soft spot for that movie. It is just like kind of trash silliness, but it's such a throwback and it gives it a nice modern spin, and the deaths are pretty fun and the characters are pretty fun, and Mark Hamill as Chucky is amazing, and the song, the buddy song, the buddy song, I am your buddy, the buddy song gets stuck in your head, and I listen to it lots, and then my husband gets upset because he doesn't like Chucky, and I'm sitting there happily playing the credits to their full completion because I love listening to the like weird creepy buddy song. It's brilliant. So yeah, go watch the new Child's Play. It's fun, guilty pleasure, love it.
So something I've watched recently, but it's been out for a while, but it's only just recently that I've watched it, is that The Stranger. That was excellent.
Yes, that was good.
That was excellent, The Stranger. It's very good if you like your mysteries. It's very good if you like to piece things together, if you like to be an investigator, because like Neon Genesis, things come out slowly. So you have to slowly piece everything together as to who did what and why something happened when and all this. So The Stranger is very good. But also, if you like that, then the drama Safe, is it?
Yes, that's good.
That's meant to be connected to The Stranger.
It's the original writer of the books. It's the same author behind both of them. So Safe was the first one that I saw on Netflix, and then The Stranger came out recently. But Safe has Michael C. Hall in it, and he's brilliant in it.
I have not seen Safe yet. It's my next one to watch.
Oh, it's good. It's worth it.
Michael C. Hall, I love, because
so
Dexter was one of my favourite series. So
yeah,
Michael C. Hall.
I think I liked Safe a little bit better than The Stranger. People have like one more than the other, and I'm in Team Safe.
Okay, well, I'll watch Safe and I'll let you know. Credits, not credits. Social media.
Social media. Da, 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 da. That's my sound. They're coming in on a trumpeting fanfare. Da, 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 da. Media.
Trumpets and
Monty Pythoning. It was like, 'tis only a flesh wound. 'Tis only a flesh wound. Come on, I can still go. There we go.
Are we gonna get done for copyright and all your things that you come up with?
Yeah. I watch a lot of television and movies and everything. Media junkie.
Mine's gonna come out on a beast. Because there's beasts in this episode.
There we go.
I'm trying to relate it to what we talked about.
Well, yes, that's why it's going to be the Black Knight from Monty Python fighting a beast. Because it's got the no
Right,
arms.
now they're fighting, are they?
Yes.
Great. Okay, thanks for that. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, my arm.
Your beast has lasers. and I thought it was just a big growly thing.
It is a big growly thing, but you didn't say, oh, my arm. That was the knight. Oh, no, because I meant pew, pew.
Yeah, exactly. Pew, pew, pew. It's supposed to be nom, 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 nom. Nom, 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 nom. 'Tis only a flesh wound. Nom, 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 nom.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
For day, it's a weeaboo saying Jane.
And a newbie saying, a nom nom, crunch, crunch, nom nom.